Okay, in this video, I'm going to solve question 5 from Eastern Cape 2019, and the question is on Parabola grade 12. Okay, so this is the question. You can see you have 6 questions to solve from 5.1 to 5.6, and the total is 17 marks. Okay, so the question is question 5 from Eastern Cape 2019. Okay, let's get started on the next slide. So question 5. Let me get the question again. So this is the question from Eastern Cape 2019. Okay, so question 5. The diagram below shows the graph of f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x minus 8, and g of x is equal to mx plus c. P and R are x-intercepts of f, and v is the x-intercept of g. S is the turning point of f. F and G intersect on the y-axis at Q and also at T with this coordinate 9 and 10. Okay, so you have the graph of f, which is a parabola, and you also have the graph of G, which is a line. Okay, you can see the x-intercept of f are P and R, and the x-intercept of G is V. Okay, the graph of f and the graph of G intersect at Q and T. Okay, you can see that. Now 5.1, the question is write down the coordinate of Q. The question is 1 mark. Okay, you are requested to write down the coordinate of Q. You can see Q is the y-intercept of f, and it is also the y-intercept of G. Okay, you can see that. Now, from the equation of f, you can see the equation is given in the standard form. Okay, so negative 8 is C. Negative 8 is the y-intercept. Okay, you know that from the lesson on parabola. Please check that video, part 2 of 6 on parabola grade 12. Okay, you know that negative 8 is the value of C, and this is the y-intercept. Okay, you know that the y-intercept in this question is Q. Okay, now the coordinate of Q are going to be 0, and the y-coordinate is negative 8. Okay, remember at the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. Okay, this is the x-coordinate and this is the y-coordinate. Okay, now 5.2. The question is determine the equation of G. The question is 3 marks. Okay, you have to determine the equation of G. G is a line, you can see that. Okay, so the equation is given in the form g of x is equal to mx plus c. Okay, g of x is equal to mx plus c. Okay, and c is the y-intercept. You can see the line G is cutting the y-axis at Q, and the coordinate of Q are 0 and negative 8. So C is the y-intercept. Okay, you know that from linear function. C is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept in this question is negative 8. Okay, you can see that from the equation there. So the point there is negative 8, and C is equal to negative 8. So you can substitute C for negative 8. Now you have g of x is equal to mx minus 8. Okay, because C is equal to negative 8. Okay, you can see that. You carry on. Now you need to get m, which is the gradient. Okay, you can use another point which is on the graph of G to find the gradient m. You have another point, the point T. You can see the coordinates are given. Okay, so you have the point T with this coordinate. This point lies on the graph of G. Okay, you can use it to find what? The gradient, right? This is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. G of x is y, and y is equal to 10. Okay, so you have g of x is equal to 10. This is equal to m times x. X is 9 Okay, so you have m times 9 minus 8. Okay, now from this you can get what? The value of m, which is the gradient. Okay, you can carry on. You can take negative 8 to the left. Now you have 10 plus 8, which is 18, and this is equal to m times 9. Okay, what is m equal to? You divide by 9 on both sides. Now you have m is equal to 18. You divide by 9. Okay, so you divide by 9 on both sides to get the value of m. Now you have m is equal to 18 over 9. This is equal to 2. Okay, and finally, g of x, the equation of g, is equal to m is equal to 2. Now you have 2x minus 8. Okay, so this is the equation of g, which is a line. Okay, so we have solved for question 5.2. Now 5.3, the question is write down the equation of f in the form y is equal to a, in bracket you have x plus p, you close the bracket, squared plus q. Okay, you are requested to write down the equation in this form. This is known as the vertex form or the turning point form. Okay, remember this from the lesson on Parabola, part 2 of 6. Okay, please go check that video. Okay, so the equation of the parabola is given in standard form. You can see you have it, f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x minus 8. Now 5.3, the question is requesting you to write it in this form. Okay, so you move from this form, which is the standard form, to this form. To get this form, from this form, you have to complete the square. Okay, you can complete the square or you can use another method. So in this video, I'm going to use the method of completing the square. So this question is 2 marks. Now you are given f of x is equal to this, right? F of x is y. Okay, let me write it as y. Y is equal to x squared minus 7x minus 8. Okay, you have it here. You can see f of x is y. Now we are going to complete the square so that we can get the equation in this form. This is the vertex form or the turning point form. Okay, let's do that. To complete the square, this is what we are going to do. Y is equal to x squared minus 7x. Now we are going to separate the constant. Okay, the constant is negative 8. You can see this is the constant. We are going to separate it from the rest of the terms. Now you have negative 8. I have a space there so that I can add something. Okay, I'm going to use the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x is negative 7. You can see. So I'm going to add plus, using the coefficient of x, negative 7, right? You divide it by 2. You can see the coefficient is negative 7. You divide it by 2 and then you square. Okay, you take this coefficient, you divide it by 2 and you square. So make sure what you had there, you must also subtract. Okay, so that you don't change anything. So you add and then you subtract the same number. Okay, you can see this is the same. So when you add it, you make sure you also subtract it so that you don't change anything. Okay, and we carry on. Y is equal to, now this part I can write it in bracket like this and square it. Okay, so I'm going to have x. Remember, x squared is going to give me x squared, and this I'm going to write it as 7 over 2, right? 7 over 2. Remember, the negative square is positive, so I have 7 over 2, and the sign will be this sign, minus. And don't forget this. Now when you add these two terms or these two numbers, what do you get? Okay, let's use the calculator. Okay, so what is this equal to? You have negative 8. Let me do this. Minus, in bracket you have negative 7 over 2 remember, squared. Okay, this is what you have there. This is equal to negative 81 over 4. Okay, so you have negative 81 over 4. Okay, so this is how you complete the square from this to this. Okay, now 5.4, hence or otherwise determine the coordinate of S, the turning point of F. Okay, the question is 2 marks. Okay, you are requested to determine what the coordinate of S. There's S. S is the turning point of F. You can see. Okay, you don't need to do the calculations. Okay, you can see from this form, the turning point form or the vertex form, you can get the coordinate of the turning point, which is S. Okay, S, which is the turning point, the coordinates are, the X coordinate is 7 over 2 when you solve. Okay, when you take this out of the bracket, it becomes positive. From negative, you take it out, it becomes positive. So you have 7 over 2, right? This is the X coordinate, and the Y coordinate is this, negative 81 over 4. Okay, so these are the coordinates of the turning point, which is S. Okay, the turning point of F, the graph of F. Okay, we carry on. Let me draw a line here. And now it's 5.5. Okay, what is the question? The question is, determine the coordinate of a point W on F such that the average gradient between T and W is 1. Okay, the question is 5 marks. So you can see the point T is given. There it is on the graph of F. The coordinates are given, but you don't know where the point W is. The point W is somewhere on the graph of F. Okay, but you don't know where it is. Okay, now you have to find the coordinate of the point W such that the gradient or the average gradient between point T and point W is equal to 1. Okay, so let's do this. The point W with coordinates X and Y. Okay, let's do this because we don't know the coordinate of W. This is a point on the graph of F. Okay, and we also have T. The coordinates are given 9 and 10, and this is also a point on the graph of F. Okay, so from the equation, this equation, the point slope form. Okay, so from this, M is equal to, you have this over this, right? Or you can have it as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, it doesn't change anything whether you have it written like this or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, still the same. Okay, you can use this formula to find the average gradient between 2 points. Okay, so the average gradient between the point W and T must be equal to 1. So from this, the average gradient is equal to 1. Okay, the average gradient M is equal to 1. This is equal to, you have Y minus Y1. Okay, we are going to substitute the coordinate of point T. So this is Y and this is X. Okay, Y1 is going to be 10 over X minus X1. This is X, so it's 9. Okay, so from this, we are going to get the equation of the line passing through the point W and T. Okay, we are going to do cross multiplication. Remember, 1 is over 1. Okay, we are going to do cross multiplication so that we can get the equation of the line passing through the point W and T. Okay, let's get the equation of the line passing through the point W and T. Okay, when you do cross multiplication, remember 1 is over 1. So you have 1 times this y minus 10 times 1. There is 1 down there. So this is y minus 10. When you take this times the 1, this is equal to 1 times this, right? This is equal to x minus 9. Okay, you do cross multiplication. Okay, you can carry on. So you have y is equal to x. you take negative 10 to the right. Now you have 10 minus 9, which is 1. So you have x plus 1. Okay, so this is the equation of the line passing through the point W and T. So you have this equation, the equation of the line, and the equation of the parabola is this one. You can see f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x minus 8. Okay, this is the equation of the parabola, this parabola. So you have the point T, and the point W is also on the graph of f, but we don't know where it is. So we are going to equate the two equations, the equation of the graph of f and the equation of that line, to find the coordinate of the point W. Okay, so let's do that. This is the equation of the parabola. Remember, this is y. So you have the equation of the parabola is equal to the equation of the line passing through the point W and T. This is the equation, x plus 1. Okay, so you have x squared, and you have negative 7x minus x, which is negative 8x. Okay, negative 7x minus x, which is negative 8x. You have negative 8 minus 1, which is negative 9. This is equal to 0. You remain with 0 on the right side. Okay, you carry on. Now you can factorize this into two brackets like this. Okay, you have x squared. You are going to have x times x, which two numbers, when you multiply those two numbers, you are going to get 9. And if you add those two numbers, you are going to get negative 8. You have 1 and 9. From 1 minus 9, you can get minus 8. Okay, so you are going to have plus there and minus there. You know that 1 minus 9 is going to give you minus 8. 1 times 9 is going to give you 9. So you have x is equal to negative 1, or x is equal to 9. Okay, so now you can see this is the x coordinate of the point T, right? And obviously this is the x coordinate of the point W. You can see that the x coordinate of the point T is 9. There is 9. So this is the x coordinate of the point T. So you know that the x coordinate of the point W is equal to negative 1, and the x coordinate of the point T is equal to 9. Okay, you can see that. Now you need the y coordinate of the point W. You are going to use this x coordinate. You plug in there to get the y coordinate of the point W. So you have the x coordinate of the point W. Use it, plug it in there, so that you can get the y coordinate of the point W. So you use this equation. You have x is negative 1 plus 1. This is equal to 0. Okay, so now you have the y coordinate of the point W. Okay, and so the coordinate of the point W are negative 1 and 0. Okay, so we have solved for question 5.5. Okay, now let's move on and do question 5.6. Okay, now 5.6. Let me get the question again. Okay, 5.6. The question is, determine the values of x for which f of x times g of x is less than 0. The question is 4 marks. Okay, determine the values of x for which f of x times g of x is less than 0. Less than 0 means negative. Okay, so f of x times g of x less than 0. You are requested to find the x value for which this is going to be satisfied. Okay, so how can you answer this question? Let me show you the right way. If you want to answer this question easily, so that you don't make a mistake. Okay, you are requested to get the x value for which this is going to be satisfied. Okay, I'm going to use this space. This is just for explanation purpose. Okay, so you are requested to get the x value for which f of x times g of x is less than 0. Less than 0 means negative. Okay, the only way that you can get this satisfied is only when f of x is positive and g of x is negative, or when this is negative, f of x is negative and g of x is positive, because you know that positive times negative is negative, and this is negative. Less than 0 is negative, and you know that negative times positive is also negative, and this is negative. Okay, this is the only possible way when you can get this satisfied. Okay, either of them must be positive and the other one negative. This is the only way that you are going to get this satisfied. So I'm going to use these graphs to show you how to get the answer. Okay, so this is the graph that you are given. So you know that, let me close this. You know that this is your x-axis and this is the y-axis. Remember this, when the graph is above the x-axis, the graph is positive. When it is below, as you can see, this part is below the x-axis, it is negative. When it is above, it is positive, right? Above the x-axis, the graph is positive. So the graph is positive there and positive there, but negative there, and it is 0 at the x-intercept, right? The same is true for the graph of g, which is a line. You can see this part, the part is below the x-axis. So the part below the x-axis is negative and the part above the x-axis is positive, right? Negative, positive, but 0 at the x-intercept. Okay, so there at the x-intercept and there and there, the graphs are equal to 0 at the x-intercept. So this is what you have to do. You have to divide these graphs into parts using those x-intercept. If you are requested to answer this question, get a pencil and a ruler, draw lines by the x-intercept there. This is the way to answer this question. So you are going to have vertical line there and another one there and another one there, right, by the x-intercept. So you are going to divide these graphs by the x-intercept so that you can now compare them. Now let's compare. Remember, this part, the graph is above the x-axis. So this is positive, and this, it is below the x-axis. This part is negative. You carry on. Now you compare the two graphs in this part between the two vertical lines. You have the graph of f and the graph of g. You can see they are both below the x-axis. So they are both negative, right? This is negative and this is also negative because they are below the x-axis. Okay, you carry on. This is above the x-axis and this is below. So this is negative because it is below the x-axis, and this is positive because it is above the x-axis. You carry on. You have this part and this part. They are both positive because they are above the x-axis. So they are both positive. You only take the part which are going to give you negative, like this one. Positive times negative is negative, not this one. Positive times positive is positive, and not this one. Negative times negative is positive. So it's only this and this. So only this part and this part are going to satisfy this, right? So now you need to know the coordinate there, or the point there at P and V and R, so that you can write down the answer. So let's get the coordinate of P, V, and R. Okay, so to get the coordinate of P and R, you can see P and R are the x-intercept of F, right? So let's get the x-intercept of F. Now you need the coordinate of the point V. You can see V is the x-intercept of G. Okay, let's get the x-intercept of G, right, which is V. So the answer to this question is x element from negative infinity up to negative 1. This is going to satisfy. You can see the graphs are still continuing. So from negative infinity up to negative 1. right? Negative infinity up to -1, because you have plus and negative. You know that plus times negative is negative. You have negative there. And this one is not going to satisfy because you have minus there and minus. Minus times minus is plus. You want to have minus. And this one is going to satisfy because you have plus times negative, which is minus, right? You have minus there. So from 4 to 8. So you are going to say union from 4 to 8. Okay? And what about this one? Because you have plus times plus, plus times plus is going to give you plus, but you have here minus. This is minus. So this is not going to satisfy. It's only this part where you have plus and negative, and this part where you have plus and negative, because you know that plus times negative is going to give you negative. You have negative there. Okay, so this is the answer to this question, and we are done with question 5 from Eastern Cape 2019. Okay, until next time, I will talk to you soon.